Hey ladies, how we doing? Got a little video here real quick for you. I haven't had a lot of content lately because I got a lot of shit pulling me in different directions, and I think of a little video to do and then I forget about it. So I thought of this one. Got to get it done right now, like 100%, or it won't happen. So bear with the filming apparatus, not so slick. But we're going to talk about a few things. Dry fire trigger manipulation stuff, right? A couple of hacks to try to really make it mimic live fire. The thing about dry fire that sucks on the trigger side of the house is the gun ain't going off, right? We don't get a bang, we don't get reciprocation, we don't get a reset. So no matter what kind of gun we're using, double, single, we can whack away in double action, but that's not real because we only got one trigger pull in double action. Subsequent shots are always an issue. Double action, single action, striker fired, Glock, M&P, SIGs, they're all like, doesn't matter. Some may be a little bit better than others, but it doesn't matter. Nothing is like live fire when we want to work subsequent shots. And when we're talking about practical shooting, subsequent shots are kind of important. So these are all the little hacks that I use and the things that I really work with. Now, when we're actually working on our trigger press, me personally, I do three things when I'm working on trigger press and working on grip related to trigger press without disturbing the sights. These are the three things that I do. Number one, first and foremost, best drill ever for trigger press, dry practice wise is, or even live really, is Ben Steger's trigger press at speed, or trigger finger at speed drill, whatever it's called. Look it up. It's great stuff. And what it basically is you being able to whack through your trigger all one speed without disrupting the sights. So it's just as much a grip exercise as it is a trigger exercise, because you want to basically establish a good enough grip so you can whack your trigger like a caveman and get the perfect desired effect. No sight movement while manipulating the trigger. So it's great. And if most shooters, fast shooters at least, are being honest with you, 90% caveman, 10% finesse. Okay? So for me personally, I'm whacking 90% of the time. And maybe 10% of the time when I've got a tight shot or a transition to a tight shot or something pretty damn tight, I'm going to prep and press. Now sometimes if I want to make a really good shot off of a draw, I might prep and press. But even then, most of the time, if I'm going for something practical accuracy, an A zone at out to probably 20 yards, I'm just drawing and whacking. So I mean, understanding that we can be a little bit of a caveman about it, and we can just simply whack through the trigger and still be really freaking good, right? So that drill is number one, in my opinion. Now, number two is some sort of prep and press drill, because we do want to get in tune with our trigger and know how aggressively we can go to the prep point and press. So when we do need to make that precise shot off the draw or transition to a precise shot, we can prep on the way, right? And get that work done really. So some sort of prep and press, you can incorporate that with your draw, a little presentation work. If you're working new to dots or whatever, trying to get your presentation right, you can add that prep as while you're presenting, and get that work in with some other stuff involved. So that's also great. Number three, the last one, is when I'm working subsequent shots and working kind of grip and trigger press, what I'll do is maybe first shot, bang, I break, and then subsequent shots, I'm going to whack off the trigger while it's back, right? So with the Glock, trigger goes back against the wall, I can just whack against it. Now, the one great thing about this is when you're hitting against that wall, it'll really tighten you up on sympathetic grip shit. So if you've got these three fingers doing this whole thing when you're trying to pull the trigger, when you're whacking against that Glock trigger that's back against the wall, you will really see that kind of exaggerated. And there's a few different ways to get better with that. A little grip shit here while we're at it. Setting some pinky pressure and ring finger pressure, and then kind of almost like separating your hand, your strong hand. So a little bit of pinky pressure, little claw action on the bottom of the hand, kind of letting the ring finger, the middle finger loose, and then obviously got to let the top of the hand loose. So kind of clamping in like that, front to back pressure, but just kind of these two fingers doing all the work, and clamping like this. And that's one way to do it. And then two is by really focusing your support hand grip on these knuckles and these flats of your finger right here. So instead of really taking your support hand and trying to drive these three fingertips into the gun, think more about the front strap and these knuckles right here, and trying to incorporate your grip to really grab them and right, and then driving your support hand counter, pulling these knuckles back and driving that support hand into the corner of the back strap like that. If you can really master that, you can let your strong hand really loose. Like a lot of guys with like crazy splits and good ass recoil control are kind of mastering that use of that support hand, driving those knuckles into the front strap and driving into the back or whatever side of the gun. So there's a little grip shit for you. Two ways to kind of counteract sympathetic grip stuff. And a lot of grip shit, your trigger finger doesn't really throw the gun off. It's the rest of your hand, right? Unless you're really being a goon with your trigger finger itself. Most of the time it's the rest of your hand that's the culprit, not this one finger overcoming two whole hands. So, all right, now, those are the three things that I use when I'm actually trying to work on trigger press. When I don't want to work on trigger press, or I don't really care about trigger press, and I want to work on precise transitions or coming into positions or anything, really, and I don't really care about trigger press, but I want some sort of trigger press, that's when I actually lock the slide open to give myself a spongy, springy trigger. Notice, I'm not working on trigger shit at all when I'm utilizing this little hack, okay? If I'm working on draw, stuff like that, I'll use this sometimes. If I'm just working on draw, reload, mechanic stuff, I'll use this sometimes. If I'm working little mini stages or eyeball work, transitions, precise transitions, shit like that, I'll use this kind of thing a lot. But if I'm doing anything grip and trigger finger related, I'm not really using this. So now let's talk about how I do it. A lot of people stick a chunk of cardboard in there or something, or you can do it with a zip tie as well, and that allows you to kind of rack the gun and stuff. The reason I don't do those methods and I use as little a piece of paper as I possibly can is because when I draw the gun, whether it's from appendix, I draw with a claw grip that's up around the side like this, but I go after it. I go after the gun, right? I'm snatching down on it like this, and then as I'm kind of coming up out of the holster and marrying, I'm digging down around there. If my gun is stuck out of battery, I will literally slice my web of my hand all up while I'm trying to do dry practice. And then also from USPSA, I kind of use the snatch hybrid scoop draw thing where I come up and around really hard. Same exact thing. I'm gonna freaking cut. So what that'll do is a lot of people will still have a out of battery, slide that's, damn near halfway out of battery, and then they'll stop attacking the gun, right? Like stop attacking the gun as hard as they normally should. So what I personally do is I'll take a piece of paper, I'll lock the gun back, and instead of putting a chunk of cardboard this thick or a zip tie or something in there, I'll take a piece of thick like printer paper like this. It's pretty thick stuff, and I'll bend it in half. So that's 2 sheets of thick paper, thicker than notebook paper, and just a little chunk of paper like this. I'll throw that in the breech face, and kind of smash it down in the breech face, and then boom, kick her shut. And I still get the exact same thing, right? But now the gun is barely out of battery, and I can attack the back of the slide and attack the draw and everything. Just and the weight of everything is just the exact same. It's only a tiny bit out of battery, but I still get the exact same stuff. Now, every once in a while, the slide will kind of get stuck from dropping it. All you got to do is kind of whack into the back of it, and it'll open back up. But no big deal, right? So that's personally how I do it. And then again, reiterate, I'm not working on trigger press stuff. I'm basically using this to kind of just get stuff done and have some sort of trigger to go against. Really, I like it when it's back and I can whack against it when it's back more than anything for subsequent shot work. But I do use this. Like right here, I've probably got about a 3/4 pound trigger. Maybe half pound, 3/4 pound, I don't know. It might even be close to a pound. I have no idea. But stock springs, really. It's a fairly stock trigger, so I don't know how much it weighs, but it's good enough to mimic triggers. You know, you're doing a little mini stage, whack, 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 like, right? It's all good, but yeah, that's not what I'm working on at that time. So bend stagger, trigger finger at speed drill, some sort of prep and press drill, and then breaking your trigger and whacking against it while it's back, or something with your type of pistol. M&Ps are going to have some sort of a spring trigger like this going on. You know, the main goal, the overarching theme of this video is to mix it up to try to simulate as much as possible live practice. Okay? Click, rack, click, rack, click, rack. Like, that's not good enough, because you're kind of, a lot of people, what they do is they'll kind of slap a half-ass grip on, click, rack, slap a half-ass grip, click, rack. And it's like, all right, are we really doing anything here, or could we be doing better work? So I know this is kind of long, but fuck it. Sorry, take her easy.